Hello again, and welcome back to Mr. Storytime. We're going to look at chapter 4 from the book The Shrimp. Just take a moment to remind yourself what happened in the book so far. Maybe have a look at the front cover to get some clues and think about why it's called The Shrimp as well. What was in the book that meant he was called The Shrimp? Cool. Okay. So we'll start again. Chapter 4. "Hey Mum," said Ben. "I found a crenulated Wental trap." "Huh?" Mum was sitting on the tower reading a magazine. "I found a crenulated Wental trap." "Oh dear," said Mum, turning the page. "It's good, Mum. Good," said Ben. "I haven't got a crenulated Wental trap." "Oh," said Mum. "Good then." Ben looked at the shell in his hand and frowned. "At least I think it's a crenulated Wental trap. I'll have to check when I get back." Mum pulled her hat down further over her eyes. It was a hot summer. Ben was working hard on his shells. Mum and he weren't taking a proper holiday that year. The car had suddenly needed an expensive new gearbox, and Mum said she thought they had better just have day trips. Ben was not as disappointed as he might have been. Yeah, there's Ben showing Mum the crenulated Wental trap. Mum obviously doesn't seem very excited by that. Here we are at the beach. Let's see where Ben is and try and spot him. And whenever Mum asked where he wanted to go, he said the same thing: the beach. Canberra Sands was a long drive away, and sometimes the traffic was terrible, but it was a wonderful beach, a vast sweep of sand which never got too crowded. It was great for football, and kites, and paddling, and making dams, and swimming, and it was great for finding shells. Sometimes when they arrived, the tide would be high, and Ben would wait kicking a football about until the churning sea slipped away. Then he knew he was the first to walk along the strand lines. He found the ordinary shells first, tellins and cockles and razor shells. Then he found more unusual ones, scallops and gapers. Bit by bit he sorted out the best examples. Bit by bit he built up his collection. Yeah, there's Ben there, finding his shells. He learned too. He bought a book called Guide to the Seashore and took several more out of the library. He studied the seashore guide in a car. It began with plants and went up through the animal kingdom, starting with sponges. Mum was so surprised to hear that a sponge was an animal. She nearly jumped the traffic lights. Right at the end, after the shells and the shrimps and the birds and the fish, was a page of seals. Here's the page of seals. Ben loved the pictures of the seals. They looked so sleek and plump and friendly. Maybe have a look what the word sleek means. Or what do you think of the word sleek means? He would really like to see a seal, but he knew that wasn't very likely. As his shell collection grew, Ben had the problem of how to store it. One of his books said that the old chocolate boxes were good. That sounded promising. Ben read the bit of the book out to Mum. When she didn't say anything, he read it again. He just started to reading it for the third time when Mum said, "If you think, Benjamin, that I am buying chocolates when I have just bust the zip on my black leather skirt, you, Benjamin, had better think again." Ben decided to think again. One Benjamin was bad enough. Two Benjamins was definitely back off time. Instead of the chocolate boxes, he made do with shoeboxes and food trays from the supermarket. The tiny shells he kept in a large matchbox lined with cotton wool. There you go, this is his neat collection. One afternoon, Mum found him cleaning some scallop shells with his toothbrush. "Ugh!" she exclaimed. "It's okay, Mum," said Ben. "It says in my book, it says you can clean shells with your toothbrush." "Oh, yes," said Mum. "Does it say your toothbrush or a toothbrush?" Ben checked in his book. "Oh, a toothbrush," he admitted. "Yes," said Mum. "A bit of a difference, that. A toothbrush means an old toothbrush, not But before she could really get going, the front doorbell rang. Move on to chapter 5. Someone new's come in. It was Ben's aunt, Gemma. "Surprise!" she cried when he opened the door. She held up a load of carrier bags, prepared to be amazed. Amazed and delighted. "I've come to show off my new clothes." She did too. Mum and Ben sat on the sofa and watched her trying everything on. "What do you think, Ben?" Gemma said, striking a pose in the green dress. Ben gazed at her. "Well, there's not much of it." Jenna, it's Jenna, not Gemma. Jenna threw back her head and laughed. "So like your grandma, darling." After everything had been put back in the bags, they had a cup of tea, and it was only then that Jenna caught sight of the shells on the table. "Wow, look at these," she said. "Are these yours, Ben?" He nodded. "But they're fantastic. You've laid them out beautifully, and look, you've got some really good ones. However did you find them all?" Ben gave a shrug. There you go, showing Aunt Jenna all the shells. "Nose in the sand, bottom in the air. And that's how he finds them," says Mum. Jenna laughed. "And when it's not nose in the sand, it's nose in the shell books," Mum went on. "You should hear him about boring depths." "Boring depths?" said Jenna. "What are boring depths?" "Well, I'm not sure," said Mum. "I tend to drift off at that stage." They both turned to him. "What are boring depths, Ben?" Ben gave another shrug. "It's just the depth that different types of shellfish bore down to," he said. "That's all." "Well, I'm dead impressed," said Jenna. She looked dead impressed too. "Actually," said Mum, "I'm pretty impressed too." "Well, you've really inspired me," said Jenna, gazing at Ben's collection. "When I go to Cornwall with Dave, I'm going to look for shells." "Going to Cornwall?" said Ben. "With Dave?" said Mum. "Yes," said Jenna. "Dave's sister takes this house right on the sea, and we're staying there." "How lovely." Mum looked pleased. She approved of Dave. "Isn't Cornwall rocky?" said Ben. Jenna laughed. "Sure is." "Oh," said Ben. "What do you mean, oh?" said Jenna. "Well, it's just that most of the shells are on sandy shores, and shells on rocky shores are quite different. You know, like you get limpets and things." He swallowed. Not really like. He broke off. He realised what he'd done. He had done a most unshrimp-like thing. He had more or less asked if he could go to Cornwall with them. Mum looked at him. Jenna looked at him. Mum looked at Jenna. Jenna looked at Mum. They both looked at him again. Said Jenna slowly. "It could just work too. No promises, mind." I'll read a couple more pages. Chapter 6. I wonder where it is. Just remember Cornwall. Maybe have a look where Cornwall is on the map. That is in southwest England. A lot of people go on holiday there. Jenna was right, thought Ben. Cornwall was rocky. He was sitting on the pebbly beach a little way from the house, gazing over the sunlit sea. Cornwall was very rocky. It was sandy too in some places, with a coarser sand than at Camber, but it certainly did rocks well, and rock pools. Ben stirred the pile of limpet shells with his foot and gave a happy sigh. It all worked so well coming to Cornwall with Jenna. Dave's family had been kind, and he particularly liked Ellen, Dave's sister, and everyone took an interest in the shells he found. Ben looked back over the rock pools he had been exploring. It had been a magical morning. He had seen crabs and fish and prawns and even a starfish. He had seen anemones, some shining like red sweets, other pale and snaky. Yes, it had been wonderful, but it hadn't been good for his shell collection. Once his heart had leapt as he saw a beautiful top shell, but when he tried to pick it up, he got a surprise. It held firm. It was alive. The shell was needed by someone. Sadly, he left it. 3 seabirds flew overhead, peeping. Ben looked out over the bay again. There was a large shape moving across the water. He stared at it. Could it be a seal? Okay, we're going to stop there for now. Again, thank you for listening. We'll keep going with the shrimp tomorrow, and I hope you're enjoying the book. I certainly am. Have a lovely day and enjoy the sun.